How are we doing, everybody? Welcome to Russell Heritage Golf. Today we're going to be talking about better ball striking, and that leads us again to having the best chance of striking the ball better. Obviously means that impact needs to be where we need it to be. A great reference point for impact position is that basically if you were to draw a line vertically through that lead ankle upon impact, that's where you'd want to see located upon this line your hip, right? So my lead hip, shoulder and hand path. So basically upon collision, or say slightly post impact, so just after I've hit the golf ball, as you can see I'm demonstrating here, draw a line vertically if you were to video your swing through the ankle, hip, shoulder, hands, right? So that would be referred to as controlling the low point, which basically means you've got the best chance of the club head striking, should we say, beyond the collision of the ball. Gives you compression, gives you nice sound on the back of the ball, but gives you the best chance of getting a consistency with the contact. Better ball striking in all. So then the question is, well, how are you going to get there? Well, it leads very much to the transition. So admittedly, your backswing, you need to stay nice and central. You need to turn, but it's going to be the initiation to the downswing which is going to give you the impact position. The first thing which is very clear is that you're obviously going to need rotation. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to start sliding in the transition excessively, because your left hip is going to quickly surpass that left ankle line, which means that your upper body is going to get stuck behind. Now, most amateur golfers understand that, but the thing that I think gets distorted amongst amateur golfers when we watch professional golf swings is that they'll go, right, well, hang on a second, if I'm going to turn, but when I watch pros, their head is on the back of the ball. The reason this happens is through a separation. Okay, so basically, as a feeling, what we need is we want to swing up towards the top and we want to stay very downward facing over the ball. See the way my chest and my pelvis are very downward facing coming in towards this hit. Triggering a rotary motion, yes, but the feeling is that everything would be kind of over the ball. But obviously my head wouldn't look like this and I wouldn't be in this position in reality, and the reason why would be because of the separation. See, what happens in the golf swing is that your lower body is going to be working at a faster rate of rotation than the upper body. So if I demonstrate that to you, so to demonstrate it, I get a couple of sticks, and I'd suggest that you do this at home. Place the sticks, one stick through your belt line, the other stick, if you like, through your shoulder. And then as I swing up towards the top and pause, as I start to initiate my downswing, my lower body would work at a faster rate of rotation than my upper body. And by doing this movement, what you can start to see is that if they were, as I swing back, it depends on how they're positioned in the belt buckle, but let's suggest that both of the shoulder line and the hip line, if you like, are parallel placed. Well, the feeling is going to be that we want to keep them kind of parallel placed, but because of the separation, it starts to create what's known as a lateral bend. So you can see as my lower body starts to work at a faster rate of rotation, the gap between the two narrows. Well, this basically means upon impact, if I'm inducing a lateral bend, it will create almost like a side crunch. So that's what then creates this sort of idea that my head would stay very much fixated on the back of the ball. So, feel versus real. Well, this is where you want to be careful taking things too literally. Because obviously when we see professional golfers and we listen to them, they might say, yeah, I try and keep my head on the back of the ball, or I try and feel like I stay over the ball. But relative to you guys, most amateur golfers are lacking rotation. So today's lesson is feel versus real, right? In reality, what you don't want to do is that you don't want to come over the top, right? But you're potentially a million miles away from that. So we need to become more experimental. And what I'm suggesting is that if your backswing is centered, you'll have the ability to separate. So you can see that I can move my hips without the upper part of my body moving, which means I can now think about everything rotating, but my hips will lead. This will induce pretty naturally what's known as a lateral bend, which means that although my feeling is that my upper body and my hips are very much downward facing, and if you like, in front of the ball, in reality, they won't be. And if you're struggling with ball striking, that's because you're going to be contorted to this way to some degree, which is then why you would end up looking this way. A very common amateur feeling, or visual, shall we say. So how are you going to counteract it? Well, Come back again to some more visual stuff. This time, this could be anything, right? But this time I'm going to use this circle. So I'm going to get myself set up and I'm going to place this just to the left of my toe line. I'm going to swing up towards the top, and the feeling is that I'm going to get my chest pointing down towards the circle. You'll never do this in reality, right? Those that are slicing the golf ball might need to be slightly careful with this, because obviously the reason why you'll be failing is because of the backswing. But as long as you can turn nice and centrally, your feeling is to get that chest over towards that circle, get over the ball, and then from here, that's going to guarantee that you've got this ability to trigger rotation, but also control the low point. If you became concerned about exasperating the feeling a little bit too much, then a great little exercise, what you can do is you can get yourself up against the wall at home. So you can see the way my lead ankle is pretty close to the door here. What I'm trying to suggest is the feeling is that you're trying to stay downward facing as you're triggering a rotation. So my point is, let's say you're concerned that all you're doing is laterally moving. Well then, you know, hold the golf club, be careful, because obviously you don't want to dig in towards the wall. But the feeling is that you're trying to get your upper body down in towards your imaginary circle, or imagine that you're trying to hit the door. So see the way my chest stays downward facing, so does my hips, which is helping me trigger a rotation. So even upon collision with the wall, I'm not moving this way. I'm rotating downward. And therefore then that's going to give you a much better impact position based upon changing this feeling in the initiation towards the downswing. On the channel so far, I've talked in detail about sequencing and events. So talk very much about that the hips would lead the downswing, which is correct. But everybody's going to be slightly different in terms of your feelings. So today's feeling is you want to become a better ball striker, you need to understand that your torso is going to be rotating as well. But sometimes to trigger the rotation, you need to feel like it stays more downward. And then this way it will kind of get you moving, almost it will feel like you're moving laterally. But like I said, one, you might be surprised when you go down the range with this sort of feeling. Actually, you know, it'll keep you very centered and you'll just be striking better down on the back of the ball. And two, if you are concerned where you feel like all you're doing is moving laterally, well then do a few little swings against the wall and you might just surprise yourself yet again that you're triggering more of a rotary motion than you originally thought. Hopefully you enjoy the video, right? Always appreciate one of those, and hopefully you understand the message that the feeling would be this, but the reality would be this. And therefore you might just surprise yourself that it might just help you unlock, shall we say, another little piece towards the jigsaw of better ball striking. Always appreciate one of those. Remember, it's absolutely free to press that subscribe button. Press the little bell icon, means you'll receive notifications every time a new video comes out, and I'll catch up with you guys again soon.